Hi, my name is Joedy Brown. I'm a mayoral candidate for Albion. I was invited to answer 3 questions regarding racism in our community by Albion Standing. The number 1 question is, in which ways do you see structural and institutional racism at play in the Albion community, and how would you address them as mayor? The first thing that I know is a lack of diversity among the workers in our local businesses. With Albion being 32.38% African American, I would expect to see a much more diverse workforce in our local businesses. However, that unfortunately is not the case. One of the ways that I would like to address racism within our community is by creating an initiative for community change. Now, this initiative would involve having stakeholders that are invested in our community, but also that can advocate for our diverse population. The other part of that would be a community assessment. We would need to gather data and identify barriers to the racial equity. But we also need to use strategies in order to overcome the racism that we have within our community. And so one of those is by increasing the knowledge and awareness of racism and racial inequities. But we'd also need community involvement through events and forums. The last part of that is by changing institutional policies, practices, and or procedures that may be racist in nature. The second question is, a recent survey commissioned by the Albion Downtown Development Authority found that Black residents were not frequenting downtown businesses nor involved in the downtown revitalization. Is this an issue that the city should address? If so, how should the city address it? If not, please explain. I do feel that it is an issue, but the number one thing is we need to create a survey or questionnaire so that we can understand why people are not using these businesses, or also the reason that they're not involved in the revitalization. There could be simple things like lack of transportation, which we do know is an issue within our Albion community, but also a cost of frequenting these businesses. They may not be able to afford to be able to frequent these businesses. And so until we have an actual understanding and reasoning before us, it is not easy for us to be able to make a positive, lasting change that our community needs. And the third and final question is, in the current national climate regarding the relationship between communities of color and police departments, do you believe systemic racism exists in the Albion Department of Public Safety? If so, what suggestions or solutions do you have to address it? If not, please explain. I definitely do feel that we have systemic racism within our Albion Department of Public Safety. One of the things that my youngest son pointed out to me is we were driving along the road and there was an African American pulled over on the side of the road. There were 2 police cars and at least 3 police officers there. And he says, Mom, if that was a black man, if that was a white man, I'm sorry, then there would only be 1 cop car there. And he is absolutely correct. A lot of the times our African American population here is profiled, and that is definitely not okay. But the other issue that I have is with Davion Cieslak, who was pepper sprayed. He's an autistic child, and he was also physically hit by the former police officer of Albion. So a couple of things that I would like to do to address this is to have diversity training for every single one of our officers, de-escalation training in order to avoid using brute force, banning chokeholds of any kind, along with banning racial profiling, and ensuring that every officer has a valid reason for questioning or detaining someone. Also, to make it a crime for any officer to not intervene when another officer is abusing their power, and then also forming a citizen committee to review all police cam footage. Thank you, and have a great evening.